I still remember the exact moment my friends laughed at me. Not a polite chuckle. Not a joke. I mean the kind of laugh that makes you question yourself. The kind that sticks in your head for years. And honestly, if someone had told me back then how everything would turn out, I probably wouldn't have believed them. 3 years ago, I was sitting in my friend's apartment with 6 people I'd known since college. We were talking about careers, promotions, and future plans. Everyone was doing what society considered successful. One worked in finance. Another was a software engineer. One had just finished law school. And then there was me. At the time, I had quit my office job and started a tiny online business selling customized pet accessories. Dog collars. Pet tags. Leashes. Nothing glamorous. Nothing impressive. At least that's what everyone thought. One of my friends looked at me and said, "Wait, that's what you're doing full-time?" I nodded. He laughed. Then another friend joined in. Then another. Within seconds, the entire room was laughing. "Bro, you left your job to sell dog collars? Seriously? You got a college degree for this?" I forced a smile. Inside, I felt horrible. I tried explaining that I saw potential in the market. That pet ownership was growing. That people loved personalized products. Nobody cared. One friend actually said, "Come on, man. Be realistic." That sentence hit harder than the laughter. Be realistic. As if pursuing something different automatically made me delusional. I went home that night questioning everything. Maybe they were right. Maybe I was making a huge mistake. Maybe I should just get another office job. But there was one problem. I genuinely loved what I was building. Even though sales were tiny. Even though I barely made enough money to pay rent. Even though nobody believed in it. So I kept going. For the next year, my life was miserable. I worked 16-hour days. I packed orders myself. Answered customer emails. Designed products. Ran social media accounts. Handled shipping problems. Everything. Meanwhile, my friends kept moving forward. Promotions. Bonuses. New apartments. New cars. Every time we met, someone would ask, "So how's the dog collar empire doing?" Then they'd laugh. I pretended it didn't bother me. But it did. A lot. The worst part wasn't even the jokes. It was the doubt. The constant feeling that maybe everyone else could see something I couldn't. Then came the first big setback. A supplier messed up a massive order right before Christmas. Thousands of dollars worth of inventory was unusable. Customers were angry. Refund requests flooded in. For 2 weeks, I barely slept. I thought the business was finished. I remember sitting on my apartment floor at 3 in the morning staring at my laptop. My bank account was nearly empty. I honestly considered quitting. Then something unexpected happened. One customer posted a video online showing their dog wearing one of my personalized collars. The video exploded. Millions of views. Suddenly people were asking where the collar came from. Orders started pouring in. Then more. And more. And more. I couldn't believe it. Within a month, I made more money than I had earned during 6 months at my old job. For the first time, I felt hopeful. But I didn't tell my friends. Not because I wanted revenge. Because I knew they wouldn't believe me. So I stayed quiet. Over the next year, the business grew rapidly. I hired employees. Moved into a warehouse. Expanded the product line. Built partnerships with pet influencers. Revenue kept climbing. Then came the twist nobody saw coming. Including me. One afternoon, I received an email from a major pet retail chain. They wanted to carry my products nationwide. I thought it was fake. I reread the email 5 times. Then I jumped on a video call with them. The deal was real. If everything worked out, it would completely change my company. And it did. Overnight, we went from a small online store to a recognized brand. Sales exploded. We had customers in every state. At that point, I wasn't struggling anymore. The business was generating more money than I ever imagined. But here's where things get interesting. Remember those friends? The ones who laughed? Life wasn't going as perfectly for them as social media suggested. The finance guy got laid off. The lawyer hated his job. The software engineer burned out completely. One by one, they started reaching out. At first it was casual. Then it became obvious. They wanted help. One friend asked if I had any openings. Another wanted business advice. Another wanted me to invest in his startup idea. I wasn't angry. But I couldn't forget those years of mockery. Especially one particular friend. The loudest one. The guy who started most of the jokes. The guy who called my business unrealistic. One day he invited me to lunch. We hadn't spoken in months. When I arrived, he looked nervous. After some small talk, he finally said it. I need a favor. Of course. I already knew where this was going. His company had downsized. He was unemployed. Bills were piling up. And he wanted a job. At my company. The irony was unbelievable. Years earlier, he laughed because I sold dog collars. Now he wanted me to pay his salary. Part of me wanted to remind him of every joke. Every insult. Every laugh. But I didn't. Instead, I asked him something. Do you remember telling me to be realistic? His face immediately turned red. He looked down. Then he quietly said, yeah. For the first time ever, he seemed embarrassed. Not defensive. Not arrogant. Just embarrassed. Then he said something I wasn't expecting. I was wrong. Simple. Honest. No excuses. No blaming others. Just accountability. And honestly, that changed everything. Because this story isn't really about revenge. It's about character. Anyone can support you when you're successful. That's easy. The real test is how people treat you before you've made it. When you're struggling. When you're uncertain. When your dream looks ridiculous. That's when people's true colors show. I ended up giving him an interview. Not because I owed him anything. Because he owned his mistake. Eventually, he got hired. And surprisingly, he became one of our hardest workers. A few months later, we were talking after work. He laughed and said, "You know what's funny? My entire career depends on dog collars now." For the first time, we both laughed. Not at each other. With each other. Today, the business is doing better than I ever imagined. We have a team. A warehouse. Customers all over the country. And every time I walk through the office, I remember that apartment. That room full of laughter. That moment when everyone thought I was crazy. If I had listened to them, none of this would exist. So if people are laughing at your dream right now, remember something. Most people judge success based on what they can see today. They don't see the years of work. The late nights. The failures. The sacrifices. They only see the result after it's already happened. Sometimes the thing that looks ridiculous today becomes the thing everyone admires tomorrow. And sometimes the people who laugh first end up asking how you did it. Like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts below.